What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 yet again. I feel like whenever we get info on this game, by the way, quick thought is that we end up getting like 5 different things. They're like batch stories. Now, honestly, I think it's because of, obviously, Rebirth re-releasing, on Steam. By the way, I personally believe the game is doing very, very well. I know some people will say, 30,000, not too much. When you look at the other Final Fantasy games, when you look at what this game is doing, I think it's doing quite good. All right, we got, I think, three main points I kind of want to talk about. So first one, in kind of, I think, chronological order, the thing that kind of kicked this all off, the big story was the whole it's not going to be a PS6 exclusive, okay? Now, the comments from Hamaguchi, I feel like, to different outlets, he makes different comments. And I saw one actually this morning where he talked about basically games releasing kind of apart from each other. So like PlayStation and then releasing it on PC. And he talks about how, well, in the future, it's going to become less and less, right? He also talks about, well, Square Enix doesn't even want that anymore, right? Square Enix wants releases across all platforms, so he imagines that his game is going to kind of go, in line with that. Now, again, I kind of want to start there, right? The first thing they said was it's not going to be a PS6 exclusive, or he said that. Now, the funny thing with this is I almost think it's not like a gotcha, but I do think this was a little bit of like a clickbaity, like, oh, we have like a storyline. Oh, it's not going to be a PS6 exclusive. He actually is simply saying it's literally not going to be a PS6 exclusive. Like, by the time this game comes out, as we've speculated and theorized, this game might very well come out in 2027. You have another kind of wave of quotes of him, right, that said, hey, we've been working on this game now, 9-10 months? Full-on production, right? It's going according to plan. It's going in line with what he had planned, like when he plans to release it. They know when this game is coming out. And honestly, I mean, I've made so many videos talking about it, so I don't want to spend too much time. The game, I truly believe, is coming out in 2027. Okay, I think they're going to try to hit that anniversary of the original Final Fantasy. That's what I think the plan is. I feel like they are probably overworking and trying to get, and they're probably going to get out faster than it needs to be simply to hit that. And honestly, I think that also connects to, okay, well, if they have a contract with PlayStation, I know they don't want to do the exclusivity thing anymore, but maybe they just want to kind of get it over with, right? Let's get this thing out. Let's get it done. We can complete it. We can do like a trilogy box set type thing, and we can move on with this team. Nomura might freaking retire after this, all this jazz, right? Let's let these people rest. They've also been working on this franchise, this game for like 12, 13 years, so it's been enough time, okay? All of those things kind of compound, right? But I do think he's being literal. Like, it's not going to be a PS6 exclusive. Now, does that not mean it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive? I think he literally means it's not going to release in the PS6 gen, which I think the PS6 is probably coming out fall of 27, and I bet you that Part 3 is coming out spring of 27, right? So this will beat the PS6 and the next Xbox coming out. Therefore, yes, literally, it is not a PS6 exclusive. So again, a little trickery, I feel like, from both him and the way it was kind of asked of him, right? But again, I mean, going back to what I said even earlier, his comments over and over, right? Like, and I've said this before, or at least this is kind of where my mind is at with this game. I think it's going to be on PC and PlayStation day one. I don't know about Xbox. The comment he made that I saw personally earlier today, at least when I'm recording this, the whole, again, like distance, that if something comes out on one, it's not going to come out on the other thing too far away. That I do think is a hint as to like everything else, right? So maybe it comes out on Switch 2 6 months after. Maybe it comes out on Xbox 6 months after. But at the bare minimum, I think this thing is coming out on PC day one, along with PlayStation. Now that's at, in terms of limiting players, that's like the worst. In terms of the best, again, in terms of like more people, the better, it would be on everything. I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like PlayStation signed a deal with them back, 6-7 years ago for all 3 of these games. I don't know that for sure. That's a lot of just speculation, but that's just kind of my opinion right now. But that's what I would guess. PlayStation, PC, and then very soon after, we're not talking a year, we're not talking 2 years, like 5-6 months. It would come out on the Switch too, and it would come out on Xbox Series S and X, okay? So that's the first part. Second thing, arguably bigger, although, where it comes out on is kind of a big deal. The story is done. So the story has been handed over. I think this actually happened a little while ago. And again, these are things that they have kind of talked about. We've heard, you just pick the producer of the day, right? Whoever feels like they want to talk. You'll have one say, oh, they're very pleased with it. You'll have another say, oh, I want them to have a happy ending. You have a lot of talk where it's like, I think they know what they want to do with the story. And then I think that the story is also already done and it's been done for a while. Again, I actually think that's a really good sign of it coming out faster than we think, right? Story is already done. There was already kind of reports, even going back to right after Rebirth came out, that they were already doing motion capture for the next game, like immediately. So just things seem to be going very, very fast, right? But I've already said that. So story is complete. Not too much I can say besides what I just said, other than I kind of feel like it's surreal because, like, okay, obviously we haven't gotten it yet, and I would argue we're kind of important. Like, we're the fan base, we're the ones buying the game, or we will buy the game. But it is surreal to think, like, okay, as I just said, all of these years, right? All of this stuff in the making, and you think about how Rebirth ends. You think about how the fandom is a little strained right now, right? A little against itself, and they in their office, right? They know how this thing is going to end. They know if this thing all ties together. They know if they disrespect the original. They know if it lines up with Advent Children or not. They know all of these, answers, right? They have it all. And I think that's just, that's every game. They kind of know the end result before we do. But it is kind of crazy where it's like, from the writing department, right? It's over. Like that story, that decade-long, whatever, development process of crafting the idea to even do this, fleshing out the world, fleshing out these characters in ways that you could never have done, back with the original Final Fantasy VII. That part of it, at least, right? The concept, the story is finished. So that is just really neat, I would say, just overall. So final part I want to get to, and this was actually, I think this was just a misinterpretation of what Hamaguchi said. I think I saw this from IGN where back in the day, back like a year ago, we heard about, there's a couple different things we kind of know about part 3, like the world and like the world travel, things with stuff like that. But one thing was also talked about was like the mini games and stuff. And back then there was talk that they were going to be reduced. Like there wasn't literally going to be as many of them. So Hamaguchi, I think, actually saw that and did say in an interview that was not true. Again, that was just a misinterpretation of what he said. He basically said that like they're going to do it differently. Whether that's like, and how personally, okay, for me, I think it's like the setup. I think it's like how you participate, okay, in these things. Whether it's like maybe like this district where you just do all of the mini games. Now, I'll say this. I liked Rebirth's way of doing it. Like you had things connected to side missions. You had things connected to kind of worlds or parts of levels, let's say, right? Where, that would be the origin point of a certain side thing, of a certain mini game, right? Or, Queen's Blood was kind of organically injected throughout the game, so on, so on. I think personally it was done well, but maybe they thought that the way they did it was kind of too much. I mean, that is something that they kind of did say, right? Now, again, the misinterpretation was, okay, well, we're just going to cut down mini games. You're just not going to get any now in part 3. When in reality, it's more about, I think, how they are presented to people versus not having them at all. Okay, so that's just one thing. I found that interesting because I really liked, Queen's Blood was freaking phenomenal, but a lot of the mini game stuff or just side activities in Rebirth, I thought they were really fun. I thought they were actually really, really well done. Games like Yakuza, games like Final Fantasy, like at least the last several Final Fantasies, like they do it really well. I don't want them to take 70% of them away. But if they have a different way of approaching it or giving it to us as players when we're playing it, that's cool. We'll see how it plays out, when the game comes out. So there you go. I think I saw one final thing where he talked about like, they're still working, they're working hard, but he can't promise like when's the next time they're going to talk. I mean, hey, they give way more updates than something like Kingdom Hearts. I'm actually, as a fan of both, and more of a fan actually of Kingdom Hearts, I'm incredibly jealous that this, and again, I think it's because, it's the re-release and it's in the news, right? So they go on these press tours and they have these interviews, but I'm very jealous because like this game will get these waves of, hey, let's talk about like 8 new things about the game. Okay, let's give you some like status updates. Kingdom Hearts is dead. Kingdom Hearts Hearts, I'm not being like literal. Kingdom Hearts is over. They're just being too quiet, okay? Whereas Final Fantasy is just on this train of, oh yeah, we'll tell. What do you want to know? We'll tell you whatever you want to know. Kingdom Hearts, they say, even though it's Nomura, right? They say nothing about it. So I am a little bit jealous there, but we'll see when we hear about it next. I'll cover it obviously when we do see it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure as always you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.